The story begins at a cemetery where something extraordinary happened one night that defied everyone's imagination. Initially, a drunkard, drowning his sorrows, was walking towards the cemetery, contemplating his life. He was so intoxicated that he ended up sitting beside a grave. He started dreaming about leaving the town far behind. But just then a voice echoed in his ears. Before he could react, all the graves began to move towards him, and he screamed in terror. The next morning, a startled man is carrying a girl in his rickshaw heading towards the village, her face pale and ghostly, resembling a vampire. The driver tried to strike up a conversation with her, but she remained silent and continued her journey. Later, the man reported the strange incident to the police. He explained that all the graves in the cemetery seemed to have been dug up as if someone was searching for something. The most shocking discovery was an empty grave with the name Cho Shakaran on it. He remembered that Shakaran's grandson had mentioned coming to the village for his college break. It was at this moment that the serious girl arrived and revealed that the graves belonged to her grandfather, showing her ID as proof. Chu Soren, who had just returned to the village, was also on the road and wasn't particularly pleased with what he saw. He had hoped for more development in the village during his absence. A friend had come to pick him up, teasing him about being a DT and still single. However, only Soren knew that he had a rather troubled history with relationships. When the inspector, Aijizan, informed him of the recent events and about his stepsister, who was the daughter of the second wife of his father, Chuya Kudo, Soren was taken aback. Her mother had only revealed this to her recently, and he had never met her before. In fact, her mother had sent her to visit her grandfather's grave. When Ojizan asked about his father, Yokyut, Soren expressed his strong dislike for him and a complete refusal to meet him. Ojizan had seen the name Chao Hao Hao on the ID and wondered if she might be Soren's sister. Upon hearing this, Soren decided to visit his grandfather's grave, even though Ojizan tried to dissuade him. He headed to the cemetery, and as he arrived, it grew darker and colder. Soren couldn't understand why someone from his own family could harbor such intense hatred towards him, and he held his father responsible for it. Suddenly, he heard a voice that sounded like someone digging. Soren made up his mind to capture the person with evidence. However, he never expected that the culprit would be a girl. When he got a closer look at her face, she spotted him, and in his panic, Soren attempted to flee. But as he halted, someone attacked him with a shovel, rendering him unconscious. When Soren regained consciousness, he saw the girl again, and she was alive. She had mutilated a corpse, which horrified Soren. She introduced herself as Chu Huhao and declared that she would bury him right there. When she mentioned the name Shukaran, Soren suddenly remembered Ojizan's words. He recalled that he is his older sister, the girl he had met for the first time, and Soren was quite happy about it. He wanted to talk to his long-lost sister, but Hohao pushed him back inside, saying that she isn't his sister and the ID she had shown was fake. After that, she began burying him alive. However, Soren started screaming so loudly that all the zombies started approaching him. Then he saw that Hohao wasn't there because she was chopping down those zombies from her chopper. Watching Hohao slicing the zombies like carrots, Soren's hair stood on end and his face turned pale. Hohao was still busy making zombie scramble. Hohao also scared away the approaching zombie that had come towards Soren. Seeing all this, Soren's mind began to reel, and he started trying to convince himself that it is all a nightmare, that a new morning would come when he would wake up. But the reality wasn't going to change. Hohao called him a fool and ran away, leaving him with all the zombies. Nearby, Hohao approached a man named Josin. When San asked her about the situation, Hohao told him that even after digging up Shukaran's grave, she found nothing. Perhaps someone had already taken him. Also, Jiangxi had attacked her, which are Chinese zombies. Hohao explained that she had left Chu Soren alone among the Jiangxis. But San believed that involving regular people in all this is wrong. However, Hohao felt that Soren wouldn't die. Maybe she had seen something in Soren that made her so sure. Just then, a loud explosion came from the graveyard. When they reached there, they found out that Soren had caused the explosion and set all the Jiangxis on fire. San said that Soren was quite interesting, so he asked Hohao to introduce him again. Stan gave her Soren's college ID to enjoy the chaos, and Hohao passed to her photo on it. Then they showed it to a boy with glasses named Ryo. Ryo informed his companion Natsuke about the news of finding Shukaran's body. It seemed like Natsuke's behavior was somewhat strange. As Soren tried to erase all his bad memories in college, Hohao arrived at his college. As soon as Soren deleted her photo from his phone, Hohao confidently sat next to him and said hello. Soren was left in shock. During class, Soren was at a loss about what to do and what to ask Hohao. However, when he finally gathered the courage to ask her what she was doing there, she responded rudely, stating that she doesn't talk to anyone during class. After class, Soren confronted her angrily, expressing his desire to forget her forever. He even threatened to file a police complaint against her. In response, Hu revealed that her ID card was fake, filled with made-up information, which further infuriated Soran. He demanded that she leave him alone for good. While this was happening, Hu called Jo-san and asked him what to do with Soren. San told her that she could make Soren her servant and do whatever she wanted with him. Hwa decided to keep Soren as her servant because she had questions to ask him. She inquired if Soren would teach her the same attack he had used to defeat the Jiangshis. She had realized that Soren is no ordinary person. He possessed dangerous powers that were yet to be fully discovered. When Soren refused to teach her, Hu once again pointed her chopper at his neck, insisting that she wanted to witness the attack for herself. But before unleashing her powers, Soren remembered a promise he had made to his grandfather. One day, he had brutally beaten a child with his kung fu skills, and his father, Yokute, had intended to punish him severely. However, Soren's grandfather had intervened, asking for time to talk to Soren. He had advised Soren to hide his powers, as using them in front of others could endanger the Cho family. Soren had agreed, not wanting to think about his father's wrath. When Soren asked for an explanation, his grandfather had told him to wait for the right time. He wanted Soren to focus on learning the basics first, and then he would teach him the technique. Soren had no interest in learning a kung fu that he couldn't use in front of others, but his grandfather had explained that their family is influenced by a jianghu, which meant that they were seen as different from ordinary people. Ordinary people were always afraid of those who were different, and this could put their lives in danger. If you are stronger or have more power, the world might not accept you. In the midst of this conversation, Hu appeared before Soren, leaving him with no choice but to use his powers. To bring out the inner fire within him, his grandfather had given him specific words. Tenshi Gensho Banki Kokojin. Soren unleashed all of his power in front of Hao, who is now in awe. It was then that we see the body of Chu Shakurin lying before Ryo. Ryo attempted to collect Shakurin's aura as a person's energy remained even after death, making it desirable for Jiangshis. However, Ryo refused to accept the Jiangshi as there was no place for the living dead in his line of work. After Ryo's attempt to collect the Jiangshi ended, he began thinking about the mysterious girl he had seen digging graves in the cemetery. She didn't look like an ordinary girl given her attire and demeanor. Ryo wanted to keep his ghostly associates away from her and Soren, whether alive or dead. He wished to bring Soren into his team, and if they couldn't trust him, they could simply let him go. At that moment, his playful partner Natsuke arrived and playfully scolded him for considering keeping the girl Hu as an Xiangxi practitioner. She remarked that Ryo was quite mischievous and warned that if he continued to act this way, she might eat him. However, Ryo pointed to Shakurin's corpse as a sign. Natsuke didn't spare even one corpse and started seducing him. She explained that even in Shakurin's dead body, there is an unusual vitality, and she wished they were the same age. She pondered how nice it would be if they were. Ryo's face turned red as he realized that Natsuke is unlike other girls. Meanwhile, Soren's kung fu is proving ineffective against Huhao's martial arts, and he is easily defeated. Huhao is impatient to make Soren her servant so she could avoid more hard work. Soren was in such a pitiful state that he couldn't even stand properly, as he is completely naked, and now Ho knew all his secrets that he is a DT, which could tarnish his reputation if revealed. Hao had now resorted to blackmailing Soren. She threatened to expose his secrets to everyone in college, making it clear that she would reveal why Soren was still single. Soren had no choice but to surrender and agreed to be her servant. Hu wanted him to refer to her not by her name, but as master, and demanded that he wait in the darkness until her procession could pass through the city. At that moment, a young couple arrived with the nightfall. Seeing them together, Soren felt embarrassed and ashamed of his single status, a situation he never thought he would have to face. He just wanted to end his misery and humiliation by getting rid of Hu. As darkness fell, the couple admired the moonlight, and they took a picture that would go viral the next day. In the picture, a naked person was seen believed to be Eighth Wonder. In reality, it is Chu Soren, who remained completely unaware of the sensation he had become in this city. Part 3. The next day during class, Soren found it impossible to concentrate on his studies. He asked Hu how she could sit so focused, to which she responded by showing Soren the viral picture, in which he was portrayed as the Eighth Wonder. If people found out that he is the mysterious Eighth Wonder, Soren's already fragile reputation would be completely destroyed. That night, Soren was filled with worry and decided not to go out despite his friend's inquiries. However, he received a friend request from a girl who wanted to meet him. After a long conversation with the girl, Kenken, Soren learned that she is a student from his college. This gave him hope that perhaps his grandfather was right when he said that fate could change at any moment. Soren felt that he might not have to be labeled a single graduate anymore. However, his biggest concern remained his new master, Hu, who had ordered him to meet him same night. Soren was fully aware that he couldn't endure humiliation from her. To avoid her, he turned off his phone so that neither Hu Hao nor his uncle could locate him. Soren felt nervous about his first date, and just when he was starting to worry, Kenken arrived. She is even more beautiful in person than in her photos, and Soren was captivated by her beauty. Kenken asked Soren if he liked the place, and he replied positively, saying that it was beautiful and that her presence had made it even better. Kenken wanted Soren to show her around because it is her first time there, and she didn't venture out much from home due to her busy schedule and limited friends. Soren was initially unaware that they had attended the same school, but Kenken was the opposite of introverted and quickly made herself comfortable. She told Soren that ever since he had left school, she had been thinking about him, and today she was incredibly happy to meet him. Soren blushed when he heard this. Soren explained that he had distanced himself from girls for a while, and after eating their fill, he considered heading back home. When Kenken asked if Soren would like to come to her room, which was nearby, he was taken aback. However, when he saw her room, he was in for a surprise, as Kenken lived in a luxurious room all by herself. Kenken seemed mischievous, and Soren couldn't understand how he had ended up so close to a girl on the very same day. The long-awaited girl Soren had been looking for over the last 20 years had finally appeared, but he quickly sensed that Kenken had ulterior motives. He realized that Kenken had poisoned him and that he didn't have much time left. Just as he was about to lose consciousness, several people entered the room. Soren asked them what they wanted, and Kenken laughed because Soren had turned out to be an easy target, just like an outsider. Soren, however, was not going to remain silent any longer. He called in the one company's men who surrounded Rio and Natsuke. Kenken got a bit scared in the meantime, and Rio told her to run without stopping if she wanted to save her life. However, Natsuke was sauntering away, showing little concern. The guards even shot the zombies. When Natsuke was about to ride her bike to leave, Josen asked his companions to let her go for now. He knew how dangerous Natsuke is, as seductive as she was. But Josen would eventually capture her. Ho Hao told Soren that he is now free, and she ordered him to smile. How could he tell her that he still didn't feel free? He remembered his grandfather telling him once that he would meet a girl with great difficulty. Today, that opportunity had slipped through his fingers. Ho Hao said that his luck was bad because he was a fool. There was nothing in him that could attract a girl. Who would want to be friends with a foolish and uncool guy? Hearing this, Soren felt broken both inside and out. Rio and Kenken were fleeing in a van, but two guards were relentlessly pursuing them. One of them had even jumped onto their van. Rio used his powers to separate his soul from his body. When his other accomplice saw this, he started attacking the van continuously. The two guards who had followed Rio and Kenken had still not given up, but when they saw the situation, they attacked the van and Kenken fell outside. Rio refused to help her and told her that she hadn't understood Zensai yet. How could someone join their clan without proper research? With that, Rio vanished into thin air. When Soren couldn't sleep the next morning, someone knocked on his door. When he didn't open it, Ho Hao broke it down into two pieces. Early in the morning, Ho Hao took him to the market where has her company where she used to work. He had some questions and Josen would provide answers there. After a while, Ho Hao brought him to express delivery. Soren saw the workers there who had fought the zombies yesterday. He thought there must be some secret base here, but Josen quickly informed him that it is just a normal industry. He explained that they were all outsiders, people with special powers compared to ordinary folks, much like Soren's family. Soren was curious to know what an outsider is. Josen continued, saying that they all possess a unique energy that allowed them to control things in their vicinity. This energy is referred to as ki. Whether someone can feel it or not, every outsider possesses ki, either inherently within their bodies or it can be cultivated. Soren speculated that his kung fu training from his grandfather had something to do with it. Josen explained that Soren had inherited his powers from his ancestors, but it was his Kanku technique that awakened his ki. Soren then inquired if Zensai members were also outsiders and why they were fighting each other. Josen admitted that he isn't sure why such conflicts occurred. He mentioned that some Taoists who were destroying temples were also outsiders. Soren's perspective on the world was undergoing a profound transformation. Each school of outsiders had its own set of rules as they could use their powers for both good and evil. However, Zensai was somewhat different, as they followed their own beliefs and didn't want to be bound by any rules. Soren asked Josen why he was chasing him, to which Josen suggested asking their member. When he opened the gate, they found Kenken sitting inside, who turned out to be a member of the Ri clan. Josen explained that Kenken's family had reported her missing a few days ago, which led to them searching for her. Kenken had foolishly joined Zensai without realizing the potential danger. She didn't know how risky it could be. Kenken rudely silenced him as he didn't have anything to do with Josen in this matter. She mentioned that she knew everything about their express delivery, which dealt with outsiders' affairs. However, she was troubled by the fact that Joseon's lousy company was expanding all over the country. When she pointed fingers at express delivery, Soren began to suspect Joseon as well. Joseon explained that they took action only when an outsider did something wrong. She proposed a deal to Kenkin, where she would be released in exchange for revealing Zensei's secrets. Kenkin, however, arrogantly declined and said that she would rather turn herself over to the police than speak. Joseon couldn't understand how Kenkin had become so loyal to Zensei in just a few days. Kenkin wanted to see the Ryu clan and Xiangxi arts disappear from the earth. In her childhood, she had been the sole successor of her clan, and she was forced into this position due to being a girl. Kenkin had spent 15 years of her life locked up in a room with corpses. She was forcibly kept there and subjected to physical abuse. During this time, she never saw the face of a living person from outside. She was always kept confined and mistreated. As a result, Kenkin had come to regard the corpses as her only companions. But she had been waiting for the day when she could finally attain her freedom. When she turned 15, she was finally set free. However, after that day, she was told that she would lead an ordinary human life, and if she wanted to stay away from spells and corpses, her 15 years of suffering would have been in vain. When she started asking questions, she was told that it was all for her own good. Kenkin had grown so frustrated that she saw no other way to escape except to join an organization like Zensei. But then a person entered the room. It was Joseon's brother, Jo-yeon, who was a rather casual individual. He dismissed Joseon as he couldn't handle just a mere girl. In the heat of the moment, he assaulted her, and despite everyone's protests, he continued to beat her. When Joseon finally offered her the chance to speak and promised to set her free, Kenkin realized that there was no escape for her. She declared that she would do whatever she wanted since she was in charge. Soren intervened and threatened Jo-yeon, saying that if he dared lay a hand on a girl, he would personally deal with him. And then situation became tense. Kenkin couldn't see someone fought for her, so she revealed that Kenkin had been pursuing the legacy of Chu Shakurin, as a few days ago, an outsider had brutally attacked several Zensei members, and they had been searching for her ever since. Kenkin had learned that the attacker had used Kitagen, which Soren had never heard of before since his grandfather had only taught him Kinku. However, everyone believed that Soren was the rightful heir to the Kitagen style, so they were all after him. Soren's curiosity was piqued when he saw Saruhant upside down. Joseon explained that Natsuke had the power to control the fantasies of anyone, so he became crazy for girls and still enjoying his fantasies. That's why Joseon wanted Hohao to stay away from her. Joseon asked Soren if he would consider joining Express Delivery, as they aimed to maintain a balance by preventing outsiders from causing trouble in their world. Soren was more interested in making money than getting involved in all these matters. Jo-yeon revealed that it is Soren's best chance of understanding everything. Joseon was desperate for Soren to join them. Soren reluctantly accepted their offer, and Jo-yeon suggested that he fill out a form. He wanted to replace San as their in-charge with Hohao and Soren. Soren continued to contemplate his fate as he had always done. Suddenly, he heard a strange noise, and when he looked outside, he saw an odd alien creature that disappeared into a small bag. Joseon was curious why Jo-yeon had such a special interest in Soren, possibly because of Kitagen. The small alien handed Soren over to some people, where a girl praised him. When they opened the bag, Soren jumped out and berated them for their actions, asking when the members of the Zensei group would reform. However, it turned out that these people weren't from Zensei, but from a clan, confirming Jo-yeon's suspicions. They said they just wanted to take Soren to their chairman. Soren had grown tired of all this. Jo-yeon explained that ever since Joseon had spread the word about the Kitagen, Soren's troubles were only going to increase. He had done his own research on the Chu Shakurin, but hadn't found anything significant. However, some other individuals arrived and tried to persuade Soren to join them, claiming it as their master's order. When the frightened girl they had brought with them started screaming, her companions silenced her because the outsider standing before them was quite strong. She urged both of them to leave. They were from the Ryuksan clan and wanted Soren to join them. Soren wasn't eager to go with them, so he decided to fight them. However, Ryuksan's member, who also knew the Kinkojin technique, was aware that Ryuksan would attempt to recruit Soren. Meanwhile, Tengike's member approached Hohao and expressed her intention to take Soren with her. When Hohao inquired about her identity, she became slightly irritated since she couldn't recognize Hohao. She said that she wanted to take Soren with her and could also hand over Joseon if they wished. Hohao ignored her, and seeing them leave, the girl started insulting Hohao and Express Delivery. But when she received no response, she launched an attack on Hohao, who was ready to fight back. However, their fight was cut short when an energy disturbance was felt from the nearby jungle. This was due to the upcoming showdown between Soren and Ryuksan's members, who were aware that Soren was a master of Kinkojo and Tenshifu techniques, so this time Ryujoku would confront him personally. Soren warned Ryoku that he would reduce him to ashes with his anger, and as Ryoku approached, Soren unleashed his full power. Despite Ryoku's martial arts skills, Soren was determined to fight back. Yan showed Joseon the Tenshifu Declaration letter, which further piqued her interest in Soren. Ryoku told Soren that he didn't know where he had acquired Kinkoju, but he wouldn't let him tarnish the reputation of Tenshifu with his weak skills. He had Soren on the ropes, but Soren refused to give up. Everyone believed that Ryoku wouldn't let Soren off the hook. Soren mentioned that Joseon had referred to him as an outsider, and this excited him because he was looking forward to making new friends among these new people. However, his Katagan had other plans, and Soren remembered his grandfather's wisdom about keeping his powers hidden. Soren was now quite frustrated with this magical world. He wanted Ryoku to finish him off. He warned Ryoku and moved forward. However, he heard Hohao's voice, reassuring him that he was her servant, and he didn't need to be afraid of any Tenshifu warrior. Hohao motivated Soren to stand up and live with his head held high. She even slapped him when Soren addressed her by her name. Fuxi knew that Soren was untouchable today because he had Hohao by his side. Hohao ordered Soren to eliminate his enemy. Soren replied that he would unveil something even more dangerous than the Kinkyu technique this time, something his grandfather had taught him for dire situations. Soren was using this technique for the first time against a human opponent, and a white light emanated from his body, indicating that he was about to use the Raihao technique. Soren launched a powerful attack from behind to avoid Ryoku's assault. Fuxi realized that this fight would be long and dangerous. The Tenshifu members were astonished to see that Chu Shakuran knew about Raihao. It was nearly impossible to steal because only a few warriors could use Raihao. Tenshi-sama, the creator of Raihao, used to personally inspect and approve every Tenshifu warrior before they could learn it. Perhaps Chu Shakuran was one of the great warriors. Soren warned Ryoku that his Kinku Raihao was unstoppable. Still, Ryoku emitted a black energy in response, praising Soren's technique. However, Soren's Raihao proved to be overwhelming, and Ryoku was unable to withstand it. Fuxi believed Soren wouldn't escape this time, but Hohao calmly intervened, stating that if they attacked her servant, it would lead to a battle between Tenshifu and Express Delivery. As a representative of Rixen, Ryoku wanted Soren to participate in the Reiten Teishu competition, where the successor of Tenshi is chosen. He believed Soren had the potential to win. The next day, Hohao and Soren went to a place suggested by Joyan. After a short while, they arrived at a villa where Hohao announced that they would be staying for a few days, and she would provide Soren with training. Soren felt that he already knew a lot, having competed with Ryoku, but he was unaware that Ryoku had used only a third of his power during their battle. Hohao had previously advised Soren to participate, and if he wanted to learn more about his grandfather Shakuran, he had to become his successor, Tenshi first. The 65th Tenshi Chuji could provide him with answers. As they opened the door, they were welcomed by an empty villa, which initially frightened Soren. However, Hohao immediately kicked Soren inside, scaring him even more. Soren believed Hohao was going to harm him, but she actually grabbed him lovingly and shook him. Soren felt a strange sensation when he looked at Hohao. Suddenly, Hohao gave him a powerful blow, and Soren fainted from the pain. In his dream, he was enjoying time with his ki, but Hohao poured water on his face in dreams. She told him that now she possessed Soren's power as well, so he needed more practice. Soren meditated and felt the presence of a new ki, Nyafuko. However, Soren kept getting distracted and couldn't focus on his training. When he saw Hohao undressing, he was unable to concentrate on his meditation. Hohao noticed Soren's lack of focus and slapped him, calling him an immature child. She said that when someone is alone with a female, it can affect their ki's focus. Soren asked her to stop, but she insisted that she had to heal his virginity. She brought two women into the room who seemed to make Soren uncomfortable to be there. Despite Soren's protests, Hohao continued, so Soren got frustrated. He couldn't bear to be humiliated any longer and decided to leave. Soren explained that he had broken his grandfather's promise, and he had been treated like a fool by everyone, so he didn't care about their opinions. However, Hohao threatened him with a knife, warning him to stop. Despite the threat, Soren continued to walk away. Hohao was furious and used her knife to cut the entire house, but Soren managed to escape without any harm. As he walked away, Fuxi appeared before him, who had been watching him closely. Fuxi offered him the opportunity to join Tenkai, as wandering the streets alone could be dangerous for him. Fuxi explained that his father wanted to meet Soren, and they both got into a car. After a while, they arrived near a magnificent building, which left Soren in awe. The Tenj group actually assists outsiders and is connected to outsider schools like Zenshin and Sutsu. The owner of the Tenj group is Xin's father, Fu Chanhao, who had previously introduced Soren to Zhang San, a highly skilled martial artist. They all wanted Soren to join them, which Soren had already suspected. Chan Hao gave him some time to think and then began asking about his daughter. Chan Hao wanted Soren to consider dating Sin. Afterward, they had a private conversation. Meanwhile, news of Soren's escape reached the Zhou brothers, who were not happy and used harsh language to express their displeasure. Zhou San discovered that Soren was currently with Tenkai but was told by Yan that Ho Hao Chan would bring him back. Ho Hao was not in good condition and she was willing to apologize to Soren. Zhou Yan suggested Ho Hao should undergo a stunning transformation, though he had played a significant role in making her look attractive. However, the Zhou brothers started arguing about her appearance. Just then, Kenken arrived and was surprised to see Ho Hao in her new look. Her taste is good, but she had taken it upon herself to transform Ho Hao. Soren questioned the president about how he could sacrifice his daughter for the Katagan. Chan Hao reassured Soren that they had conducted thorough research on him and knew all his different personalities. He could not reject such a good young man. Chan Hao shared the history of the outsiders and common people coexisting until a major conflict erupted in 1944. The situation deteriorated, but only Zenshin and Sutsu managed to maintain their peace by refusing to participate in the war. When the war ended, the leaders of the outsiders concealed the truth, and the cause of the conflict remained a mystery. Chan Hao had been trying to uncover the truth for a long time and discovered that 8 outsiders were fighting for special powers, including the Shakuran Katagan style, and his own ancestor Fu Tenyu had a power called the channeling technique. Both Chan Hao and Soren belong to the successor's generation, which makes them quite similar. Chan Hao wants them both to explore the mystery of the 8 powers. However, Soren doesn't need to exert himself mentally right now because everything has been arranged for him. Perhaps he should take it easy for the time being. Currently, Soren feels stronger than ever and is enjoying learning the Nanfuku technique. However, he still harbors a deep hatred for Ho Hao. In the meantime, Fu Xin enters his room. She has arranged a massage for Soren, and at the same time, Ho Hao Chan arrives in her changed appearance, adjusting to heels. She seems determined not to leave without seeing Soren. The receptionist realizes that she is dealing with outsiders and informs them that Soren is currently in an important meeting. But Ho Hao insists that she won't leave without meeting him. The receptionist tries to stop her, and 2 strong men attempt to escort her out. The regular people in the vicinity seem puzzled by the situation. However, due to her high heels, Ho Hao trips again and is more determined than ever to meet Soren. Soren, on the other hand, is enjoying a wonderful massage and seems to be in paradise. Fu Xin is unable to understand what her father has seen in Soren. She admits that she barely knows Soren, and the idea of dating hasn't crossed her mind. Chan Hao explains that Soren will be staying with them, and Sin, being the inherited outsider who can use channeling, is the best choice for the job. He adds that if she disobeys her father's orders, it will tarnish the family's reputation. Xin leaves and Soren questions Chan Hao's decision. He still doesn't have a favorable impression of Tenkai. Sin then wonders if Soren is thinking of going back to that crazy girl. Soren, however, has strong reasons for his actions, even though he hasn't developed any affection for Ho Hao. He believes that Ho Hao's actions have a strong motive behind them. He acknowledges that she lacks any sense of shame or manners and keeps her emotions hidden. Therefore, Soren hasn't been able to understand her fully. He is unaware of what they truly want from him. However, he senses that Ho Hao may genuinely care for him, especially considering her lonely circumstances and the guard's unfavorable condition. Ho Hao is determined to meet Soren and is accompanied by 4 people who question Soren's abilities, implying that he can't handle a girl. When one of them attacks Ho Hao, she blocks his attack and uses her knee to pin him down while turning his mouth into a makeshift spittoon. Her bald companions try to grab her, but she manages to take down one of them as well. The remaining bystanders observe the bizarre altercation, unsure of what to make of it. In the meantime, Soren and Sin are in their room. Sin questions Soren about being one of the 8 successors, and she finds it odd that her father divulged so much information to him so easily, indicating that her father is quite serious about this. Steam wants Soren to realize that she's serious about him and begins to undress herself, saying she can do anything for her family and is currently trying to accept Soren. She questions why Soren seems unresponsive despite the presence of such a beautiful girl. Soren, trying to maintain his composure, is excited but struggles with Sin's childlike antics. Sin's actions become more provocative and she asks if anything is happening to him. But Sin can't ignore his pervert behavior anymore and she kicks him out of the room. Outside, Sin's assistant informs her that Ho Hao has entered the building. When Soren attempts to leave discreetly, Sin stops him, implying that she's not interested in getting married so soon. Sin has become fed up with Soren's behavior and relentlessly attacks him one after another. Soren tries to defend himself with his Kinku technique, but Sin tells him that running away is the best option. Soren tries to restrain her with his kinku, but Scene tells him she's about to run, and using her teleportation ability, she surprises him. Meanwhile, President Chan Hao also learns about the situation involving express delivery, who has wreaked havoc among the executives. Chan Hao is shocked to hear about this turn of events. His associate mentions that they are dealing with a very strong girl. Meanwhile, Scene is giving her all to defeat Soren, and finally, she breaks his kinku. However, Soren maintains a smile on his face and mentions that the angry Scene is not the real her. She's different from the girl he first met. Soren believes that he may not be able to defeat her now, but he can break her skill, and what he truly wants will come after his victory. As this is happening, Django-san arrives to confront Ho Hao, who is already quite exhausted. However, she doesn't know that Soren is the mysterious Chao Soren everyone is talking about. Django-san didn't expect that the dangerous intruder would turn out to be a seemingly innocent girl. Nevertheless, he's here to confront her, and if all the executives surrender before Ho Hao, he's her last hope. It all arrive in the hall where Ho Hao is putting up her final stand. Django-san proves to be a formidable opponent, and his power makes even the executives doubt their strength. In their battle, Django-san manages to land a significant blow on Ho Hao, making her dazed and vulnerable. However, Ho Hao counters by smashing her head into the ground, relieving her of the pain. Django-san decides to change his approach using a secret technique called Hacker Yusui. This allows him to control numerous weapons at will, much like Josen's technique. Django-san starts attacking Ho Hao with a barrage of controlled weapons, and it becomes clear that this technique is a devastating force. The executives discuss how this weapon has been internally developed for a while, but this technique allows them to make any weapon a part of their body, giving them full control and sensory perception over it. Django-san excels in mastering this technique. Despite Django-san's powerful onslaught, Ho Hao continues to impress him with her skills. Django-san acknowledges her strength but insists that he must finish the fight. Ho Hao then removes her heels to improve her grip in the battle. Soren, watching the fight, easily dodges Scene's attacks and surprises her with his agility. Scene wants to understand how Soren did it and assumes it might be due to hypnosis. However, Soren mentions that it might be because he won their bet, leaving Scene intrigued. He decides to leave, and Scene, while stopping him, realizes that he's breaking his promise. Soren questions her if she will protect her father's reputation over him, to which Scene responds that she's given her word and breaking it would harm her family's honor. Soren begins to suspect that Scene might have developed feelings for him because she seems genuinely concerned about him. With her heels removed, Ho Hao finds herself in a tough battle against Django-san. She seems burdened, as if a heavy weight has been lifted off her shoulders. Suddenly, President Chan Hao arrives at the scene. Django-san is also determined not to lose face, so he angrily attacks Ho Hao. However, Ho Hao manages to turn the situation into a comical exchange, as if she's making a joke out of it. Ho Hao asserted that the heels weren't designed for humans. Django-san found it difficult to comprehend why Ho Hao, despite her strength, behaved so strangely. Even after such an extended battle, she seemed unfazed and her breathing remained steady. Django wanted Ho Hao to plead with him, feeling sympathy for her after seeing her innocent demeanor. He asked her to beg for mercy, but Ho Hao was having none of it. When Jama tried to be clever, Ho Hao effectively used her heels to pin him down. She then turned to Chan Hao to inquire about Soren. However, at that moment, a brawl broke out above Jonga as Scene forcefully pushed him down when Soren was demanding her phone number. He initially couldn't recognize Ho Hao. She said she was here to take Soren with her, and for the first time in her life, apologized for her mistakes to Soren. He decided to confront Mir Chan Ho first, as he ordered Ho Hao to keep herself shut for some time. Soren told him that he is just leaving right now even after their hospitality, which is actually insult for Tenj Group, and Chan Hao becomes so aggressive instantly to kill Soren right there. But suddenly he realized him as a child and allowed both of them to leave freely. Suddenly, Jonga stood up, insisting on facing Ho Hao. Chan Hao told him to first fix his appearance, and Jonga's stubbornness led Soren to believe that Ho Hao should have dealt with him earlier. Jonga's persistence led to a final showdown, and Chan Hao allowed them to battle without any interference. However, just as the fight was about to begin, Jonga, driven by anger, threw his weapons at Ho Hao, causing her to bleed because Soren had ordered her not to move. After watching all this, Chan Hao loses his anger, and he choked Jonga while telling him that Tengakai had no place for those who attacked a girl from behind. Chan Hao promptly disposed of Jonga, and Soren, seeing Ho Hao's blood, became alarmed. Chan Hao summoned a doctor from the Fu clan named Ao Shichu, using his Shinton powers. It was revealed that Ho Hao's heart and liver had both stopped functioning and she needed blood. However, news arrived that members of the express delivery had also arrived at the scene. Upon seeing them, Soren began apologizing for his actions, but Jo-yeon claimed that he had started it all, and he would make sure to fix it. Soren felt guilty for what happened to Ho-hao and blamed himself. When Jo-yeon suggested resetting Ho-hao, Soren heard a voice from her body, unlike that of an ordinary injured person, and her bleeding had stopped. He wondered if she was alright. This triggered a whirlwind of questions in Soren's mind, and he started asking the Jo brothers about why Ho-hao was like this and why she had risked her life. Jo-yeon responded that perhaps she genuinely cared for Soren, but in reality they couldn't share all the information with him. They wanted Soren to become a part of their company because he was different from other Tenshifu, and he had the potential to become the next Tenshi. They had chosen Ho-hao because she, like Soren, had come to them of her own free will. She had researched the Fu clan extensively but didn't know the details of her own past. Her memories, along with her past, had become blurry. The scene then shifted to Rijoku, who was having a conversation with Sensei and was seen getting ready to leave. Sensei referred to Rijoku as the last successor of Tenshi-sama and offered him food. Still, Rijoku didn't want to leave any evidence behind for his enemies and left promptly. In truth, Sensei had gone to meet Natsuki a little while later, who was occupied with his son. Sensei scolded his son for his actions, but Natsuki maintained his stance. She mentioned that Ko-rin wanted to take part as a successor of Tenshi. Sensei agreed but noted that Ko-rin had to leave for that. Sensei was willing to do anything for Natsuki, but she had to let Ko-rin go. While they were talking, Shinshu arrived at the scene. Shinshu wanted to talk to Natsuki. He knew that as long as Natsuki was present, both Sensei and his son would be living a difficult life. Shinshu mentioned that it was almost impossible to find villains like them in such a huge mansion. Thus, Ryu continued with his work diligently, and it was time for him to investigate further. Chu Shukurin, who had his memories extracted by Schumann, was also seen. Ryu shared that Schumann had managed to extract almost all of Chu Shukurin's remaining memories, and Schumann is quite impressed with his skills. Now Ryu was starting to feel some of those memories himself. When Schumann asked about the Katagan style, Ryu suggested that Schumann see it for himself. Schumann witnessed the power of the Kaosher in battle. However, Ryu and Natsuki were keeping a secret from Schumann, which seemed to make her quite happy. She had seen it all, so it was best to keep this information from her for now. However, Ryu's next move was set to shake up the world of express delivery. On the other hand, Soren was feeling quite upset, seeing Ho-hao still unconscious. The Jo brothers told him that it was time for him to go to school. They had brought food for both of them, and Ho-hao would need it once she woke up. But before that, Soren needed to go to school. As he glanced back at Ho-hao, the Jo brothers seemed to be hiding something about Ho-hao when it came to Soren. After Soren left, Ho-hao woke up and greeted Jo-san, who was still quite angry. She mentioned that if she were a normal girl, she would have gone to heaven by now, but she is still not completely healthy. Jo-san asked her why she didn't try to avoid the attack, and Ho-hao explained that she was following Soren's orders. If she had moved, Soren wouldn't have been able to come back. Jo-san was perplexed about why Ho-hao was so attached to Soren, even though he was a loser. Then Jo-san received a phone call, and Soren was still filled with questions. However, he noticed Ryu trailing him in the jungle. Soren confronted Ryu and recognized him. Ryu appeared scared and called his friends to come. When Soren told him he was alone, Ryu started apologizing and explained his powers to Soren. He controlled the ki and auras of others and wanted to know more about the Katagan. However, Soren remained skeptical. Ryu revealed that he believed Soren knew about the war and the 8 powers. He explained that Sensei's group wanted to invite Soren into their fold, considering him a member of the Zensei. They wanted Soren to have fun too, but Soren didn't trust them. Ryu suggested that Soren touch his own forehead to confirm his knowledge. If Soren had nothing to hide, it wouldn't affect him. Ryu discovered that Soren had knowledge of the war and the 8 powers. Soren confirmed that he knew about them but dismissed Ryu's claim that he was a Zensei member. He tried to touch this to his own forehead, and when he did, he ran off, accusing Ryu of trying to deceive him. Soren quickly reached Ho-hao, but she was nowhere to be found. It turned out that in his grandfather's memories from 12 years ago, Ho-hao had taken on the appearance of his murderer. When Soren called Jo-san, he invited him to a hospital where Jo-shu, Jo-san's father, had recently awoken from a coma. Jo-san's father wanted to meet Soren first, as he was the one who had killed his grandfather. Shu began to narrate the story of Ho-hao and Aimu, which dated back to their first encounter in 1944, nearly 70 years ago. Ho-hao was found in the jungle by 2 boys who initially thought of doing something malicious to her because she couldn't speak or understand their language, and they saw an opportunity. However, a couple intervened and saved her, taking her to their home. These kind people turned out to be Shu's parents. Shu was affectionately called Pup during his childhood. Ho-hao, to those around her, appeared to be the daughter of a wealthy family, but she neither spoke nor understood anything. Pup's mother suggested that if they couldn't find out about her parents, they should adopt her, as her wandering alone could be dangerous. Despite attempts to locate her parents, no information surfaced, so they decided to keep her in their village. Ho-ha didn't respond to any questions and would simply hold her head and cry when asked about her past. One day, when Pup was inquiring about her training, Ho-ha revealed that she had sensed something within Pup Key. This led to the discovery that even he was an outsider, and Ho-ha began training Pup on how to activate Key's abilities. Pup started to feel better once Key was activated, and they decided to keep this a secret, something only Ho-ha knew. Over time, Pup's mother noticed Ho-ha's keen interest in local songs, and she started learning them too. 5 years passed, and Pup's mother found a suitable match for Ho-ha, to which Pup's father agreed. However, Pup couldn't accept this and insisted on finding Ho-ha's true parents. His mother was determined to keep her word to Ho-ha and promised that they would find her parents or legally adopt her if necessary. Pup's father couldn't see Ho-ha as anything but a girl. When Pup asked Ho-ha if she liked them all, she simply held her head. That night, she cried intensely, and Pup's mother made a promise to always keep her close. The story continues as a few days later, some robbers arrived in their village and caused chaos. When their eyes fell on Ho-ha, they decided to take her as a hostage in exchange for food. Despite Shu's father's numerous pleas, they did not listen and ended up killing him. Ho-ha, watching her foster mother cry, felt that her tears were causing her pain. She wanted to see her happy and smiling. Her mother told her that she would be happy when these monsters, who had caused tears in her eyes, were eliminated. Ho-ha took this as a command and began ruthlessly attacking the criminals. She unleashed her strength and fought them with merciless intensity. However, what Shu witnessed was not a normal battle, but a monstrous force within Ho-ha. After this incident, the villagers, terrified by Ho-ha's display of power, branded her as a demon and banished her from the village. Shu and his mother followed her, and they took her to a secluded spot beneath a tree, making a promise that they would find her family, no matter how long it took, as long as Ho-ha spared their lives. On that day, Shu's mother decided she didn't want to raise a child who lacked emotions. Ho-ha and Shu's reunion occurred nearly 50 years after these events. Ho-ha's life in the jungle continued as she survived alongside various animals. She remained determined to find her family. In 1993, one of Shu's friends informed him that the police had apprehended an unknown girl who seemed to be strange and alone. Shu wanted a chance to meet this girl, but infiltrating government matters proved to be difficult. Nevertheless, he was determined to try. Ho-ha resorted to stealing food for some of the city's children, but when they asked her to start eating, she stopped consuming food altogether. The shopkeepers had grown tired of her presence and considered her a nuisance. One evening, Ho-ha encountered some thugs who tried to take advantage of her. However, a girl took Ho-ha with her, seemingly to protect her. In reality, the girl had plans to exploit Ho-ha and sell her. When the thugs suggested they use Ho-ha for their benefit, the girl's partner explained that Ho-ha was actually a powerful monster who had killed many police officers. She referred to Ho-ha as a monster. Tiger became interested in Ho-ha after learning about her abilities and the girl's story. He took Ho-ha to meet Shu, and when Ho-ha recognized his scent, she embraced him. However, upon seeing Ho-ha's torn clothes, matted hair, and scars, Shu made a request to his sons to bury those who showed no mercy to Ho-ha alive. That day, Ho-ha joined Express Delivery, and Shu was determined to fulfill his promise to find her family. Shu kept the truth about Ho-ha's past hidden even from his sons. When Soren asked about his grandfather, Shu took him away, revealing that he had taken Soren 12 years ago, when he discovered that Soren knew about Ho-ha's past. Shu led him deep into the dense jungle, where they encountered Yoratsu, a man whose body was disintegrating into pieces, something only someone with Katagan-style skills could accomplish. This had been done by Soren's grandfather, Chu Shakaran, who wanted to erase all evidence of the Kaoshin War. However, Chu Shakaran was also in a critical condition. Upon seeing Ho-ha, he recognized her and offered her a chance to learn more about her past. Shakaran referred to this meeting as the miracle from above and was willing to share everything but not here. If Ho-ha wanted to learn all the secrets, she would have to protect Soren. Everything needed to remain hidden from the outside world, according to Shakaran. Shu inquired how he could trust Shakaran's words, and Shakaran revealed that he had been involved in the Kaoshin War and that Ho-ha's past was connected to it as well. However, if Ho-ha wanted to know the secrets, she had to protect Soren. Shakaran was not expected to live much longer and wanted Ho-ha to kill him with her own hands to prevent others from discovering his secrets. Ho-ha promised to protect Soren and accepted Shakaran's request. Shakaran then provided her with a memory of Soren, which she used to end his life. After Shakaran's death, Ho-ha was dedicated to fulfilling her promise and spent 12 years following Soren. When they finally met, she acted as if they were meeting for the first time. Jo-shu emphasized that even if Soren didn't trust him, Ho-hao couldn't forget her promise. He also mentioned that in 1944, an outsider to the Tenshifu had disappeared, with no records of his whereabouts. It was Tenshi Jokeigi who eventually located him, and Jo-shu believed it was none other than Chu Shakurin, who had once been a part of the Tenshifu. Jo-shu encouraged Soren to consider becoming the Tenshi successor, as it would provide answers to all his questions. Now it was time for Shu to leave, and Ho-hao placed her hand on his head and began singing a folk song. 2 days after Soren's departure, he returned to meet Ho-hao once more and prayed for the peace of San Brother's dad. Soren had come to understand that his survival was not solely due to his strength, but also the kindness of others. To uncover the truth, Soren is now determined to participate in Taishu Nights.